reference that there's, Sue has a new business consideration?
Yes. For new business, Sue Sproul of Bronte Harbor Yacht Club says, can we vote on immediate implementation of the max girth to mid girth change? And your microphone, and let me make sure you are on and can talk.
Okay. Sorry to go back to this, but I ran into this with a couple of spinnakers that I measured, and then I realized that they were really being penalized because they did taper right from the foot up to the top on a symmetrical spinnaker. A lot of spinnakers that you measure go sort of straight up from the foot to the mid girth, and then they taper. So I thought, we're not really capturing this correctly. I had Diana do a check, and it turns out we have 59 boats in our database that are showing a mid MG measurement that is less than the foot measurement. So those are improperly rated at the moment. Many of them are very small differences, but there are 15 boats that are showing a mid girth, an MG, that is more than a foot smaller than their foot. So those boats, if we don't implement this change, those boats this year and for the last few years, have had a wrong adjustment for their spinnaker, a wrong size in for their spinnaker. We're giving them a credit that they shouldn't have according to the current rule. So if we don't implement this immediately, for 1 year, those boats, we should be penalizing them according to the current rule. If we implement this for 2021, nobody will be hurt. It means that if people have these more triangular symmetrical spinnakers and they get them measured to truly have the mid girth instead of the max girth, they might get a benefit. So there's no grandfathering allowed, but if we don't do it, we're going to have to do a 1-year penalty on these, at least probably those 15 boats. So I would like to move that we have a vote to do immediate implementation on the change from max girth to mid girth. As Adam stated it, I think it's a fairly simple change to make.
Okay, I'm just going to jump in here real quick. Because this wasn't really slated for implementation this year, I didn't explore how you wanted this looked at. If you wanted, because the database that we have has just numbers in it. So then I need to figure out, is this a programming change where the MG that we are currently storing is just replaced with the new MG? Or do you want to see if there's a change from one to the other? So I haven't gone down that route with you guys yet.
I think it can just be replaced.
So if we,
I have to say something here.
yeah, go ahead.
There's a logic change in the program to pick up the mid girth as opposed to the max, because right now I assume that the program is looking at mid girth and the foot, and if the foot is bigger, that's your mid girth or the max girth. And that means that there would have to be a different filter put in or different selection as to which dimension is taken as the mid girth, or to replace the max girth with the mid girth.
But the problem is that that filter that should be there is not there. So we have boats that show mid girth MGs that are less than the foot measurement.
Yeah, for a human, it's very easy. You just look at it. For a computer, you have to explain the computer, look, this is the situation, so you have to pick this other dimension which you previously ignored. I can perfectly see it. I used to do some programming here and there.
But the workbook is not picking up on our current rule.
That's what I'm saying.
So we have boats that are not rated correctly because it's allowing them to put in a MG that is less than the foot. We should have a filter. We should have had a filter that said you can't do that, but we haven't.
Or make it equal.
So we have a lot of boats that don't comply to our current rule. And I'm just saying, what do we do with them for a year?
So this is essentially a timing question.
Mhm.
Well, can I suggest that we take it as if it was feasible to implement, we should go ahead with it. And it's up to Diane to feed back to Central Council. How is it feasible?
That's good for me.
So there are two comments that just showed up. One of them is the boats are correctly rated to our current rule, and the answer to that would be yes.
No.
Oh,
No.
sorry. No. Sorry. I jumped on that too quick.
No, wait a minute. They are, because
Yeah.
our rule says max girth, and if
That's right.
if the mid girth is less than if your foot is the largest dimension, then the rule takes that as your mid girth.
But our
And-
workbook will accept a mid girth that is less than the foot. You're saying
it
that
will.
it's calculated out?
Yes, it will, because it's not in the manual.
Okay.
It's not written in the manual that the foot has to be less than the girth.
Mhm. And the next one is, can we keep changes in a separate database this year until they're implemented next year?
And I mean, I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes here, but I think this is going to entail a little bit more discussion and a little bit more looking at the manual. Probably not. The AGM is not probably
The place for
Right,
this.
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, so just for the benefit of everybody listening, you're getting a sense of kind of how some of the conversations go at Central Council, in the sense of, are we implementing the right thing? Are we observing the right data? Are we getting the right information? Are we doing a good job in trying to make racing fair for everybody? That's the lens in which we apply all of those conversations. There's no secret smoky back room. There's none of that stuff. It really is intended to be as open and as transparent as possible. And as well, some of it has become quite technical, and thankfully our technical committee understands it and puts it into words that most of us can understand.